Yeah, so here Marx is mentioning about alienation and capitalism, and basically, before jumping to the four dimensions of alienation, which is our topic, let me give you a quick recap about what is alienation. Alienation is basically the experience of being alienated from your own self. Yes. So when you feel alienated from your own self, and that alienation result from alienation from the work which you are doing. Yes, if you don't feel connected with your work, if you don't find it creative, if you are not able to express your thoughts and ideas through your work, then it will be very monotonous for you to do that task, and gradually you will be unattached with that work, and you'll find it uninteresting, and ultimately which will lead to alienation from work, and which will not give you any internal satisfaction, because we are creative beings. We satisfy our creative needs by making things, by doing the work, and through our work we express ourselves. But we are not able to do that because of the capitalism pervasive in the society. That's what Marx has mentioned. So, Marx has considered four dimensions of alienation in capitalism. First is alienation from the process of production. So, alienation from the process of production is, for example, you are producing something for another person, then you will get alienated from the process of production. So here process of production is defined by Marx irrespective of the individuality of workers. It is fixed and workers cannot change it. So the process of production is fixed, the way things will get produced is fixed, the way the particular car has to be colored, it is fixed, the the seat will be the seat will be given a particular shape, it is fixed by the capitalist who is running that industry. So it is fixed and workers cannot change it. So whatever they have to work, it is fixed by another person. So they are not expressing their own ideas when they are producing something. They are just expressing the ideas of the capitalist. So that's what will cause the alienation among the workers from the process of production, because they are not able to implement their own ideas. Workers only man machines which are given more importance. Worker lose control over production. In capitalism, and hence he feels alienated from the process of production. So here, the workers are not given that much importance as compared to the machines. Machines are given more importance by the capitalists. They rely more on the machines than on workers. So the worker find themselves inferior to machines. Worker loses control over production in capitalism, and hence feel alienated from the process of production. Now here our worker, he's losing the control over the process of production. That is, he is not able to produce what he wants the way he wants, so he's feeling alienated from the process of production. Next is alienation from the product. So in capitalism, the product does not belong to those who produce it, but to capitalist. So now the worker, whatever the worker is producing, for example, the worker is producing a car, then that car, he won't be getting that car, rather, it will be sold by the capitalist to some other consumer. So here the worker who has spent day and night in manufacturing a car, that worker is not getting that product. So whatever he is producing, it does not belong to the worker. So he will feel alienated from the product, because he'll feel separated from the products, because he is not given the product in the end. Workers don't have any control over the quantity or quality or nature of the product. So as we already mentioned, that worker, he does not have control over the quantity and quality and how the product is gonna come out, what will be the color, what will be the shape, what will be the size of his product. Nothing can be decided by the worker. And moreover, the same product has to be purchased from the market, and he will have to buy the same product which he is manufacturing, that is car, from the market, and which will lead to sense of alienation. So he's making something but he's not getting the product, and if you want to buy the car, the worker wants to buy the car, he himself is working in the car company and he will have to buy the car from the market, then he will feel alienated from the product, because in the end he's not getting the product. Yes. Next is alienation from the fellow workers. Now, feeling of separation from the fellow workers will also be there, because work is being compartmentalized, and they are working in their own compartments. They don't have any time to interact with each other. So, and most of the time they interact with each other either inside the workplace or outside the workplace. Though whatever the social element of work is there is lost. The communal or social element of the work is lost, because the workers are not able to interact with themselves. So the communal or social element of the work is lost in capitalist mode of production, and it is leading to feeling of alienation from the fellow workers as well as. So whatever it is leading to feeling of alienation. That is, when the worker is not getting to talk with another fellow worker, then he'll feel separated from the worker, because by talking only we create bonds, right? So in order to make bond with the fellow workers, you need to have conversation, you need to talk with them. But the capitalist mode of production, the capitalist society does not favor it that much. So it lead to feeling of alienation from the fellow worker as well as. Next is alienation from oneself and one's potential. So in such a situation, a worker feels so helpless that even they doubt their own existence. So now, first the worker got alienated from the process of production, then from the product, and then from the fellow worker, and finally he will feel alienated from himself. And so work is not a choice but a compulsion. For the individual, work is external to the worker. It is not something which he is expressing, which he is using to express his inner creativity. The work is external to the individual, because the worker is not being able to express his own feelings, his own creativity in the work which he does. So we will say that work is external to the worker, and it is not part of his true self. It is not part of who he is. The work is not expressing his internal thinking, his thought process, his creativity. So that's why the work is external, it is not internal to the worker. So he loses control over his own thoughts also, as none of his thoughts can be transferred into reality. So the man kind of loses control over his own thoughts because none of his thoughts can be transformed into reality, because the work is external to him, and he cannot express himself. Because the work is external, he has to follow the commands of other. So now, as work is the expression of man's creativity or man's own thought, so when the worker work, he feels more connected to his own self. If the worker is connected with the work he does, that means he is connected with his own being, with his own self, with his true self, because it's his nature. It is nature which is being expressed through his work. So he's able to express himself by the work which he does. Right, so the worker is able to express himself by the work which he does, which in turn expresses the thought process of the worker. And so that's how, if you feel alienated from the work, you will feel alienated from your own self, because work is the expression of your own thoughts,